YouTube, what's happening? Coach Ali here. Now, another video, another topic. Now, individual training. Some people have sworn off individual training like cone drills. I don't know why, but they say it's not important. So, I'm going to give you a tool that will make it very, very important for you. So now, when you are training individually, one thing that will either improve you or actually hinder you is your intensity. Now, intensity is built on competition. So when you're training in team training, for example, or even if you're playing a match, you're playing a kick-up game, indoor, casual game, whatever, playing on the street, there's intensity because there's pressure because of competition. So competition forces you to have intensity, but to also make more decisions because you're under pressure. I could lose the ball. Now, how do we replicate that into individual training? Now, it will never be perfect, but a big factor is your imagination. Now, it sounds kind of crazy, but just hear me out. Imagination is very important because the brain cannot perceive the difference between imagination and reality. That's why if you see people who are anxious, they suffer from a lot of anxiety, they imagine scenarios that aren't actually real, but they still get the anxiety. Why? Because the brain thinks it's actually real. So you need to use this tool in your individual training. So when you're training, always imagine that there is a defender trying to take the ball from you. And what this does, it simulates more of a competition response from your body. So your body subconsciously will think that it's in competition. And then you will have higher intensity and it will be more match realistic. Because, like, for example, if you taking a turn, if you just think of taking a turn as, I'm just training myself taking a turn, the intensity is not the same because you know that it's a 1v0. It's just you against no one. But if you imagine that there is a defender trying to win the ball from you, what's going to happen to your turn? It's going to be a lot sharper. You're going to want to get your body across. You add in competition elements to your individual training, and that makes it more match realistic. So if you practicing finishing, and let's say you're doing a drill where you're working with your a wall, or you're working with those rebounders. So you're playing the ball onto the rebounder, simulating a through ball to you, and you finish on goal. When you're finishing on goal, you should imagine a defender or a goalkeeper coming out to try and close the distance, but also open his body up. So you need to think, okay, this goalkeeper is coming towards me. How do I finish? And then through that, you build more of a competition response in your mind with your individual training. Because the problem with individual training is, it's great at first when you're a beginner or you're coming back from a long-term out of football or injury or something like that, to basically get your technique right. But once you have the technique, you have to test the technique under pressure. Now, football, playing the game is the best way of doing that. But there's times where you can't. Let's say your team only trains for 2 hours in a day, but you want to train for an extra hour. You have to train by yourself. So you have to look at it from an individual perspective. How can I add more pressure, make it more match realistic when I'm in an environment where I'm just by myself? Now, if you want a training partner, that's fantastic because now it's a natural 1v1. There's always that pressure, I'm going to lose the ball. But if you have no training partner and you're just going 1v0, you have to imagine that there's a defender there trying to win the ball from you. Because then your body will simulate the response that it does in competition. And you will build skills that are match realistic. You'll build your skills in relation to drills, in relation to game moments, and make it match realistic. And that's the best way to actually improve yourself from an individual perspective. Because it's far better than just passing the ball 1,000 times. Just passing the ball. There's no intensity. There's no improvement in terms of competition. It's great for skill building, warm up, whatever. But in terms of improving yourself for competition, to make yourself better for a trial, a match, team training, you must have a sense of fear in itself. Now, a lot of people don't like that word, but fear is a powerful motivator for human beings. Think about it. Why do people work jobs they hate for 60 years of their lives? Fear. The fear of, if I have no money, my life is shit. I'm in trouble. Fear in itself is not a bad thing. It's a natural human response to keep you alive. So you need to master it. And the only way to do that is that fear of, I could lose the ball, in a football sense. And once you master that fear, that's when you start making big improvements in your game. Because if you can have the quality high level skills in still having that fear, and you have the skills and you're confident, and you're like, yeah, I can do it, but that fear is still there, I could lose the ball. That's what keeps you sharp. And it keeps you from being too complacent, where you start doing stupid things. Because it's like, even though I've got all these world-class skills, I still could lose the ball. So let me just do this, let me just do that. And it makes you a smarter player. But the key thing, use your imagination. It's a powerful, powerful tool which you can improve yourself when you're doing your individual training.